are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 227 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Larck, A-Boyting on Twitter. Talked about the latest in Auburn athletics news. And I must say, happy College Football 2025 day for everyone who pre-ordered the deluxe version of the game. I think that's the correct, the least of the two ones that let you play early. I bought the standard edition because I recently got an Xbox and did not have the funds to get anything more than the base version of the game. So I have to wait until Thursday to play it. So I hope everyone is enjoying their time on the game. I have seen plenty of footage of it, and believe me, it is making me extremely jealous that everyone gets to enjoy the game before I do. But the ratings are out. Everyone has seen the official ratings for the Auburn Tigers. Auburn currently stands at like an 85 overall team with an 86 defense and an 82 offense. And Auburn's got some dudes that are pretty fun to play with that I've been seeing. One of those, of course, being Cam Coleman, who comes into the game as an 81 overall true freshman, who 93 speed for the freshman wide receiver. So might as well just go ahead and throw him the ball whenever and wherever he is on the field. I just wanted to go to the top 5 Tigers because this is kind of a list I kind of agree with. Starting off number 1 on for Auburn is going to be Jarquez Hunter at a 90 overall. You also have Rivaldo Fairweather at 88 overall. Eugene Asante is an 87 overall. Jalen McLeod's an 87 overall. And Keontae Scott is an 85 overall. I some of them I think are going to be a little low, but I think that they're doing the correct thing and kind of undervaluing Auburn because I expect a lot of Auburn players to exceed where they are right now. Of course, Peyton Thorne is, of course, a 79 overall. And in the game, I don't know if I would start Peyton Thorne in the game. Just because of the fact that you want the development of Walker White, and you can do that with the game, and you're controlling him, so you don't have to worry about the freshman jitters outside of just whatever you have yourself. Auburn's wide receiver core looks very solid. Robert Lewis and Keandre Lambert-Smith are tied for the 2 highest ranked Auburn wide receivers at an 82 overall, then followed by Cam Coleman at an 81. Then you have Caleb Burton and Perry Thompson at 75, Camden Brown at 74, and Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Kane at a 69 and a 68. Outside of Rivaldo Fairweather, Brandon Frazier, Michael Riley Ducker are 76 overalls, and then you have Luke Deal and Rico Walker at 74. Offensive line, pretty solid in a sense. Xavier Miller is 79 overall. Percy Lewis is 82 overall. Then you have your guard, Dylan Wade is a 75. Jeremiah Wright's 73. And then Connor Lewin at 80, which honestly, a little low. Can't lie. D-line, Keldrick Fox, 82. Philip Bleedy, 81. Gage Keys and Jason Jones are 79. Other side of the defensive line is going to be Jalen McLeod at 87 again, as we mentioned before. Linebackers, that's like Eugene Asante, Austin Keys, 79. Dorian Mousey, 78. DeMarcus Riddick, 77. Who, spoiler alert, will be my user whenever I play with Auburn. Corners, Keontae Scott's 85. Kyan Lee's an 83. Antonio Kite, 79. Champ Anthony, 75. Tyler Scott, who I believe is he still? He just I would say he's still with the team. He just had the ACL tear. I was confused for a second. JC Hart, 71. Amon Lane, 71, and Jalen Crawford, 71. Safeties, Jaron Thompson, 83. Caleb Wooden, 81. Terrence Love, 78. Laquan Robinson, 77. Are the 4 highest ranked safeties. Special teams, you got Alex McPherson, who is an 83. Oscar Chapman, who is an 80. Then you have Towns Magoo, who is a 72 overall, which after A-Day, I'm surprised he didn't get a nice little jump there too. And then, of course, long snapper Reed Hughes. Reed Hughes is a very solid long snapper. Very good long snapper. But EA does not give a crap about the long snapper position because they just suck. When it comes to those positions in Madden too. Reed Hughes is a 57 overall. Of course, he is a tight end. This is how they have to label long snappers. But if you had to put a rating on him, give a 99. Why not? Make everyone make Reed who's a 99 overall, and then don't start him at tight end. Just keep him at long snapper because that's what he deserves. That's what he deserves as one of the best as a long snapper, because this is the most underrated position in the sport that does not get enough love. But yeah, that's the ratings. I could go through everything else, but I think no one else who doesn't play the game wants to hear about that. But I do think it's a lot of fun just talking about the game. I'm going to be playing the game on the Warport Gaming. Might put a video up on this channel too. That'll play by ear, kind of see how everyone feels about that. But I want as much content out about this game because I've been waiting for this game for so long. For so long, I've been waiting for this game, and I'm so glad to see it come out. And I've already committed. Don't worry, there's a commitment graphic already on my Twitter, Instagram, TikTok as well, saying where I am committed to for my first College Football 25 rebuild. And of course, is the Kennesaw State Owls, hashtag Hootie Hoo. So get ready for that. That'll be on the Warport Gaming as soon as it comes out. I got to wait until the 18th to record it. So we'll be right there. But today's episode is going to be surrounded by Auburn's next opponent in our weekly, way too early preseason series, as the Auburn Tigers are going into I want to say week 7, if I'm right about that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Week 8. Week 8. Of course, I already have a bye week, but Auburn is going into this week with a 4-2 record in my, of course, preseason way too early poll. Fresh off of a close loss to Oklahoma, a pretty close loss to Georgia, which a lot of people disagreed with me how me giving Georgia a 10-point win in that game. Everyone said it should be 7 or less. But Auburn is going into Columbia, Missouri, and a part of the early kickoff time on October 19th. Missouri is going into this game possibly undefeated. Looking at Missouri's schedule, they start the season with Murray State, then they have Buffalo, then they have Boston College, then they have Vanderbilt, then they have a bye week before they play Texas A&M in College Station, then travel. This is a weird one. Travel up to UMass to take on the Minutemen as they welcome the Auburn Tigers the next week. Auburn, of course, is undefeated against Missouri while they've been in the SEC. Everyone remembers the last time that Auburn and Missouri crossed paths. It was one of the most stressful games in recent memory. That was one of the games where I didn't know how to feel after that game. I was relieved that Auburn won, and I was also angry at the game and itself. Came down to the fact that Harrison Mevis, the thicker kicker, if you will, who is now with my Carolina Panthers, didn't take a warm-up kick. So he came out and just absolutely shanked what would have been a game-winning field goal, and what could have also been the nail in the coffin for the Brian Harsin era. That might have also been why I was a little upset, because I think everyone pretty much knew that Auburn lost a game before, the losable ones. It might have resulted in him getting fired a little early, but Auburn won the game. It was something. That fumble to the end zone that happened. That was a game that happened. That's a game I think a lot of people will talk about, because that game. Yeah, but going into this game, Missouri, of course, starting off undefeated means that Missouri's going to be a top 10 team without a doubt. They're already up there, probably already in the top 10 as the season starts. Missouri going to this year, 9 returning starters on the offense. That is outstanding, and especially for an offense that is really, really good. Brady Cook coming into this season as a top 5 quarterback in the SEC. I think has plenty of room to go up from there. And of course, cannot forget that Missouri has one of the best wide receiver cores in college football, with, of course, Luther Burden being the wide receiver one, probably without a doubt the best wide receiver in the country, in my opinion. A lot of people probably wouldn't agree with that as of Travis Hunter being in that. But I think that what you get in Luther Burden is a pure wide receiver. When I'm going into this next year's NFL draft, that makes sense. When I go in the next year's NFL draft, I'm looking for the Panthers to kind of find a way to get Luther Burden. I would be ecstatic if the Panthers got Luther Burden, because he is just a complete wide receiver, and he's just a dog. He's got everything you want. He's got size, speed, strength. Everything about a great wide receiver is encapsulated into Luther Burden. And I'm trying to make sure if I can get his. Yeah, he's 5'11", 208, but he does not play like he's 5'11". Luther Burden plays like he is 6'4". He is outstanding, and he also has a guy, Mookie Cooper, right behind him, an Ohio State transfer from 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and because he played last year. Very solid wide receiver core all around. They're bringing back all but I think one of their offensive linemen, so not a bad pick, not a bad move there. They recruited very well. Finished number 21 in the country, which for Missouri standards is very, very good. But they made up a lot of ground. Picked up six 4-stars, correction, and of course 1 5-star in Williams Nwanri. Definitely said that last name wrong, but of course the number 6 overall player in the class of 2024, and of course took him over teams like Oklahoma. So huge pickup. I don't know how likely it is for him to play right away. I think he's going to probably might avoid the red shirt, but I think he is going to see the field early and often, because this Missouri defense did lose a lot of players. They're only returning 5 starters, but with their defensive coordinator hire, because they did lose their defensive coordinator last year to LSU, who LSU does seem like a very solid team. And I'm not angry at the fact that Auburn won't have to play LSU, but I am upset that LSU's rivalry is taking a break for a year, hopefully just a year. Bring 9 games to the SEC. Auburn should have 3 protected rivalries. It's Alabama, Georgia, and of course LSU. That's a little side rant. I bet you I've heard all that before. But Missouri's bringing back their top 5 wide receivers from last year. They're not bringing back Cody Schrader, who it was one of the top running backs in the league last year. And they picked up a transfer, and they finished 14th in the transfer portal, number 6 in the SEC. Some of their biggest pickups are, of course, Khalil Jacobs out of South Alabama. Many people know that name sounds familiar because Auburn was in the mix for him. But he did, in fact, choose the Missouri Tigers. And they picked up running back Nate Noel out of Appalachian State, rushed for 3,000 yards in just, I think, a couple years over there at Appalachian State. Make sure to check my math on that. Last 4 years at Appalachian State. So going to his last year, going in with his former coach out of Appalachian State. Atlanta June is going into his 5th year. So yeah, that'll be the coach that recruited him, bringing him back under his wing at Missouri. Overall, this team there's not a lot of flaws with Missouri. I think that the high end of the SEC, Missouri is going to could finish 3rd, could finish 2nd, because they have to play after Auburn, of course, which apparently Auburn is their homecoming game. Why? So that's Georgia and Missouri of Auburn at their homecoming game. After Auburn, of course, they have to travel to Tuscaloosa. They have a bye week before they have to play Oklahoma back in Fairhope Field. And then they have at South Carolina, at Mississippi, and, of course, Arkansas. This is their toughest stretch of the season, as is it's Auburn's. And honestly, I like their chances of going into Tuscaloosa and taking down Alabama. This is a Missouri team that's not afraid of the big boys anymore. This is a Missouri team who is ready to go. And I know a lot of people were very high on Missouri. I was surprisingly not as high as I was this year about them. But they did kind of come out of nowhere. I am ecstatic to see Missouri kind of stand tall. I like Eli Drinkwitz a lot. I think Brady Cook is a very good quarterback, and I love that he has a dual threat ability as well. Just kind of going into the game. This has been one of the games that I've been talking about a lot with a lot of y'all. I had this game as kind of a chalk in a sense. I don't think Auburn has the talent right now to compete where Missouri is right now. And by that, I mean, I think Auburn isn't prepared for games like this as they will be probably next year, probably later in the season. Because at this point, in my world at least, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They don't really have an easy game until Vanderbilt, and what would be 2 weeks for this. I think that there's a lot of factors that go into this. I think this is going to be Auburn's first loss to Missouri since Missouri has joined the SEC. And I think a lot of it goes to the fact that Missouri is going to have a high potent offense, one with, of course, being Luther Burden. I think Auburn's defensive backcourt is going to be truly tested in this game, probably more so than they have this game, and of course Oklahoma 2 weeks prior to this. You're seeing a better wide receiver core than you did against Georgia, but you're seeing the best wide receiver in the country. I don't think this game is going to be a blowout. I don't really think Auburn loses any games in a blowout fashion this season. If they do, then color me surprised. I think that Auburn goes and leaves Columbia, Missouri, as 4-3, with still very high chances of going 8-4, which is still my prediction. If I had to put a prediction on it right now, I'd probably have to say Missouri 28, Auburn 24. Somewhere around that margin is kind of where I have that. Of course, this is an away game. And of course, it being an early kickoff does kind of help Auburn's case. It being early in the morning, probably 11 a.m. or noon. But I'm just not. I'm too high on Missouri to kind of waver from that right now. And again, they're going to be a top 5 team, probably top 6 team going into this game, unless strength of schedule kind of hurts them. But at the point of the season that they're at, it does kind of fit in Auburn's case. Auburn has been way more tested at this point of the season than Missouri has. Missouri's toughest game going into the Auburn game is going to be Texas A&M. And Auburn's, of course, is going to be take your pick on Georgia and Oklahoma. So if Auburn kind of use that to their advantage, I think they could get the win. I think out of the 3 games that I kind of tossed early on in the year, I think that this Missouri game is the most likely for them to win. So would not be shocked if Auburn won. I don't know how likely it is. I need to, again, this is a way too early to the preview series. I've not seen them all on the field yet. But yeah, I do think that Auburn loses this game close. And again, as I said before, I don't think Auburn loses any games that are not close. Hopefully that's not me sunshine pumping too much. I have the glasses right down there somewhere if I need to wear them. But that does it for my week 8 season preview series. I believe that is correct, week 8. But next week, of course, we're going to have Kentucky as Auburn finishes out the month of October, and gonna have to go to another away game, of course, in Lexington. That game will be a night game, so that's going to be interesting. And then after that, you have Vanderbilt, ULM, A&M, and of course, you got the end of the season with Alabama. But with that, we're going to move on to basketball because we got some basketball news coming out right now. But before we do, we're going to take a little ad break and talk about the merch a little bit. So we'll be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. And of course, those are both available on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. First page, College Loop hat, $25. College Loop shirt on the second page, Feelin' Loopy shirt. That is, I'm currently wearing both things as we speak. Both those $25 each, $50 in total. Be a great little combo gift. You know, it's coming up on what's the next holiday? I guess Halloween. So trick-or-treaters, you know, why not splurge a little bit? That's a trick or treat. You give them a You give him a college loop hat. That'll be the perfect thing to give. Who wants candy on Halloween? They want college loop merch. But with that, make sure if you're liking the show as we speak, leave a prediction for the Auburn Missouri game. Why am I wrong? Why am I right? However you want to answer that question in the comment section below. Auburn Basketball has added yet another non-con, another respectable non-con at that, to their 2024-2025 schedule, as well as their 2025-2026 schedule, as they add the Purdue Boilermakers to and I'm saying it again for the last time in a row, schedule. Auburn's 2024 schedule is going to be, it seems like it's going to be very tough. Going into this year, the two already set in stone teams are, of course, Duke, part of the ACC SEC Challenge, and then, of course, Purdue. Of course, you also have to add in the Maui Invitational, which has a nice little list of teams. I'm going to read them out loud. Auburn is in this. Colorado, Dayton, Iowa State, Memphis, Michigan State, North Carolina, and, of course, two-time national champion in a row. Back-to-back champion. I don't say two-time because they have way more than that. But known blue blood, UConn. So there are three blue bloods in the Maui Invitation, of course, that being UConn, North Carolina, and, of course, Auburn. A tough schedule. Auburn is making their rounds, making sure that everyone is ready for this season. But I mean, if you're going into a year where you're playing, I don't know that we don't know the schedule for the Maui Invitational yet. I don't know if Auburn will get to avoid UConn and UNC. But if you're playing teams like Purdue, Duke, North Carolina, and UConn, I mean, if you find a way to finish 2-2 in those games, I don't think Auburn's going to play all four of those teams. But if you did, I mean, you're starting off very solid going into the conference schedule, which hasn't been released yet. We know where and who Auburn is playing, but we don't know when. But it's already a fun schedule. I mean, and it does suck that the Auburn Purdue game will not be played in Auburn. It's going to be played in Legacy Arena at the BJCC, and of course, beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. And then the next game is going to take place in Indianapolis, in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, which I don't know where that is. I just know it's in Indianapolis. But that'll be on December 20th, 2025. This game this year, if you're looking for games to go to, if you're looking to travel over the holiday season, December 21st, the first day of winter, I believe, will be in Legacy Arena again in Birmingham, Alabama. But again, just huge pickup for the schedule. Auburn are currently projected to finish on the. I think right now I've seen a lot of Auburn as the 1 or 2 in the country. I think Auburn could be around there when the season begins, and winning games like Purdue, winning games like Duke, could very well project Auburn to that 1 spot. And of course, the SEC is always going to be a tough slate, no matter what. So a lot of fun on that schedule. Hopefully, get to see a lot of those games in person. But I don't know if I'll be traveling to North Carolina for the basketball game against Duke. But as we move on to the last 2 little snippets we have to talk about today, the MLB draft is going on. I don't think I've ever really watched the MLB draft. I think the only draft that I ever sit down and actually watch is the NFL draft, because I think there's more pageantry with it, so it's a lot more fun to watch. With that being said, I mean, the NBA draft, the first 5 picks are fun, and then after that, it just kind of falls off. The MLB draft, it's really hard for me to watch. I think just because of the fact that there are so many rounds, which is probably why I've never really watched it. Just because I think that there are. I'm trying to think of how many days there actually are with the MLB draft, because I'm just not too sure about that. But I do know that there's is there 30 rounds, 16 rounds? Am I correct in that? I could be extremely wrong in my thinking for that, but I look up a schedule and there's no schedule. So that's cool. It's only 3 days. Cool. So we're going into day 3 today of the MLB draft. Auburn has currently only had 2 players get picked up, but rounds 11 through 20 are today. So probably expect some Tigers to get off the board here soon. But Chase Allsup was the first Tiger off the board by the Baltimore Orioles in the 4th round, pick 127. And then in the 9th round, pick 271, the New York Yankees selected Tanner Bauman as well. So that's 2 pitchers from Auburn off the board. Auburn, pretty solid slate of sending people to the league as of late. I think right now the total's up to 61 players that have been brought up to the majors. There's been 4 or 5 this season that I'm remembering off the top of my head. Of course, one of those being Ryan Bliss, who's a dog. But yeah, huge shout out to Chase Allsup and Tanner Bauman. Auburn men's baseball. Auburn baseball has already been revamping their pitcher position already for this upcoming season. So you're seeing why right there, because they keep sending guys to the league. But that does it for the installment of the College Loop podcast. Again, shout out Tanner Bauman and Chase Allsup for getting drafted to the MLB. Of course, that means minors for a couple of years. But again, as I was saying, as I was getting to the outro, thanks for tuning in. This is some other College Loop podcast. I'm, of course, Dylan Larck, ABoy on Twitter. It's at YABOY, the tank. Also have an Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLENLARCK. And, of course, you can also find me right here in the College Loop podcast, which should like, comment, and subscribe. Again, leave your thoughts on the Auburn Missouri game. Does Auburn actually get the upset over a top 10 team in Columbia? Or do they fall short and kind of go into the rest of the season with a chip on their shoulder, trying to get, their extra, at this point, be 4 wins left for them to get, for my prediction at least. And of course, don't forget to go follow the Warport Gaming. That's TWR Gaming on YouTube, where you're going to see a lot of content for both me and Dustin from the Uptempo podcast, as we just absolutely go crazy and feral for the College Football 25 game, since we both have been waiting so long for this game. And of course, don't forget to subscribe again right here on College Loop Podcast, where you should, again, like, comment, subscribe. I will never not say that enough. Thank you, everyone that has been subscribing. We have had a huge boost of followers this month, so I am ecstatic for that. Shout out everyone and all of you. This show would not be possible without all of you loopers out there, and we continue to make sure that you are in the loop with everything Auburn and soon to be SEC football. And with all that being said, if you're tired of watching the show, completely understandable. I get tired of looking at my face too. If I get tired of looking at it too, because I sit there and watch the show too. I watch it with y'all. There's also the audio version of the show as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google and Amazon. I mix all those up in my head. And of course, don't forget to get the merch. And that being said, go follow us on all social medias, on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. The works all of the College Loop. And now, with all that being said, thanks for tuning in to the installment War Eagle. And again, I can't thank y'all enough. Thanks for watching.